Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So this is going to be my Doctor Who episode 2 video. I'll definitely say like watching these two episodes together, these first two episodes, probably my favorite Doctor Who premiere ever. If you were to try and watch them apart or out of order, I mean, they'd still be a lot of fun, but just as this really grand, big two-parter, it's like a small movie. I tried to account for that in my video last week. Like, you know, the first episode, a lot of fun, but as pacing goes, not the best episode. But when you consider that it's really meant to be the first part of a two-part episode, it's fantastic. And new round of the giveaway starts now. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. So here we go. Careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet, starting with top 5 moments. Is everybody ready to be a god? Number 5, a long time ago with the TARDIS far, far away. Just the greatest like setup for a Star Wars joke ever. There were actually a couple big Star Wars moments in this episode. Let me see you with my own eyes. But the moment I'm talking about is Missy's story at the beginning of the episode, how she sets it off talking about a past version of the Doctor without a TARDIS, and we see like, you know, Tom Baker running through frame. The only reference I thought of when she said robot assassins in Tom Baker were the Robots of Death episode. The very first Tom Baker episode was called Robot, so you could probably draw a couple different references there. The whole point of the story was just to explain how Missy and Clara escaped, and how Missy escaped at the end of Series 8, just modified vortex manipulator. And even just the way they shot the opening scene was beautiful, just like with upside down Clara spinning around. One of the big strengths of BBC programming is that because they don't have billions and billions of dollars to spend on huge special effects, it pushes them to make the cinematography that much better. So regardless of what you think of this story, Doctor Who episodes always look fantastic. On to number 4, admit it, you've all had this exact nightmare. In all honesty, this was actually my favorite moment from the episode just because it was so hilarious and such a big WTF moment. I mean, it really is kind of a nightmare to see the Doctor in Davros's chair. The last chair on Skaro, which is also just another funny Dalek joke. I can definitely admit to never thinking about Daleks having to sit down. I guess they wouldn't need chairs on their planet anymore. The joke about the tea is just like the meta commentary every Doctor Who writer has ever had. Just like, don't question it, I'm the Doctor, just accept it. Don't question the logic. I know a lot of you guys were getting sick of the idea of timey-wimey. That was like a big Matt Smith phrase. Really, like the first 15 minutes of this episode are probably like one of the funniest Doctor Who episodes ever. Taken as the whole episode, it was a great roller coaster, but just like the first 15 minutes were just perfect comedy. I think that's what sets Doctor Who apart from a lot of other science fiction. I can't think of another science fiction show that balances comedy and drama so well. On to number 3 though, PTSD flashback to Asylum of the Daleks and Dalek Oswin. There were a lot of you guys that really wanted Missy to be the new companion after last week's episode. I'm curious how many of you still want her to be the companion after what she did to Clara in this episode. Put her in the Dalek and then just casually try to get the Doctor to kill her. How do you say I love you in Dalek? The montage of her getting Clara to spit out lines was pretty hilarious too. And it's actually pretty interesting. I don't think that I knew before this that Daleks say exterminate to recharge their weapons. They don't just say it to say it, so maybe that's a Moffat addition to the canon of Daleks now. It's always fun to see examples of Russell Davies and now Stephen Moffat try to explain classic Doctor Who tropes using new plot twists. On to number 2, the Doctor and Davros have a heart-to-heart. And Davros actually looks like he was crying at one point, which I'm actually wondering if it's even possible for him to cry. We get the nice Darth Vader moment, let me see you with my own eyes one last time, just laying it on super thick. It gets super maudlin. There were some really nice moments. Even though he took it all back, I'm wondering if for a minute Davros was actually genuine when he said that he's happy that the Doctor was able to save his people. Because I do think that Davros has a twisted version of love for his children, for the Daleks, but not in the same way that you or I would think about love. Really, every single moment that the Doctor and Davros had in this episode is just an amazing line. You could pull just so many things out of this. We've exhausted every conventional means of communication. We've established one thing, you are not a good doctor. And of course, on to my number 1 WTF moment, very obvious here. Davros tries to invoke the Gallifreyan prophecy about the Time Lord Dalek hybrid. He tries to siphon regeneration energy into every Dalek on Skaro. Now there's just so much to unpack here. There are a lot of prophecies in Doctor Who. Usually when they come up, they're addressed within each season or within each Doctor's run. This to me seemed kind of like a twist on the Cult of Skaro prophecy. There was a hybrid that showed up during that storyline, but it was a human Dalek hybrid. This is Dalek Sec. You can actually go back and watch this on Netflix. One of the Tennant episodes that went really deep into the mythology. I actually really like episodes that invoke things like this, just because it makes you think. You're like, wait a minute, when did I hear this prophecy before? What does this mean about future episodes? The BBC would do well to make a book called The Big Book of Gallifreyan Prophecies. They also kind of still need to make a physical version of the Time War book that we saw during Matt Smith's run. Just a very beautiful looking book to have on your shelf. The twist in it all is that the Doctor knew that the regeneration energy would regenerate the decrepit Daleks down in the sewer, and they would be so pissed that they would just take out the rest of the Daleks for them. Just the idea that the Daleks would have the same word for sewer as they word for graveyard is just so hilarious. I actually, even as tired as the Daleks seem as a monster that Doctor Who keeps going back to, I felt like this episode did Daleks really, really well. Let me know in the comments though, do you think that Davros was honest when he said that he was happy that the Doctor saved his people, that he brought the Time Lords back? I actually think that he was. Sometimes the most convincing lies have a lot of truth in them. I mean, obviously he was trying to set the Doctor up so that he would use his regeneration energy to help them, but I don't think that Davros would have seemed quite as convincing had he not actually had some of those emotions inside of him. We are each of us a hybrid. That was actually my favorite Missy line. The friend inside the enemy inside the friend. The only thing I really consider unforgivable in this episode, within the context of the narrative, is what Missy did to Clara. That's the moment where you just see murder on the Doctor's face as he talks to Missy and tells her to get out. If you ever thought that Missy had a chance of being the new companion, I think it evaporated right there. And speaking of Missy, the big question is what is the clever idea that she has at the end as the Daleks are getting ready to take her? It seems like whatever she's going to do, she's going to co-opt them in the way that she co-opted the Cybermen during Series 8. Definitely not in the exact same way. I don't think that Stephen Moffat would do that. But do you think that Missy's plan will mirror the prophecy of the Dalek Time Lord hybrid? Do you think that it'll tie back into that? Just for reference as your theory crafting though, Michelle Gomez has said that she's happy to continue playing the Mistress or the Master, however you want to think about her, for forever, like indefinitely. So whatever her plan is, it's probably not going to involve changing herself or regenerating into another form. But Moffat did write the line in when the Daleks were capturing her, "You are a Time Lord." So the fact that she's a Time Lord, she has regeneration energy, and the Time Lords themselves, probably important to her plan. The Doctor even made it a point to talk about how he hopes he never finds Gallifrey in the episode, so I'm wondering if Gallifrey is going to figure into Missy's plan. Moving on to more specific Easter eggs, there were a couple of cool things that I spotted in the episode. I'm sure you guys spotted a whole bunch more, so just start writing them in the comments as I go through these. When Davros asked the Doctor, "Are you ready to be a god?" that was actually a line right out of Genesis of the Daleks. Just, going back to Tom Baker. Also a lot of Genesis of the Daleks in episode 1. I think it was actually during the Planet of the Daleks episode when one of the companions or someone referred to Skaro not being a very hospitable place to people that were not Daleks. And that's just part of Davros finding a chair. Like, I hope you appreciate this because I had to search everywhere for this chair. When Davros asked the Doctor, "Am I good man?" that's right out of Series 8. Just conveying the idea that Davros and the Doctor, two sides of the same coin. And then the Doctor's sonic sunglasses. I know this is going to be controversial. Like, some people are going to hate the sunglasses. Some people want Clara to step on them between episodes. There have been several other versions of sonic screwdrivers throughout the series. Captain Jack had his own sonic device. Sarah Jane had a different type of sonic device. I'm not a huge fan of the sunglasses right now. I'm curious to see how long they last, but I'll say that when I was a child, my mom went through like 4 pairs of sunglasses in 1 year just because she lost them, she stepped on them, she dropped them in the water. So sunglasses do not last long. So if you really hate the sunglasses, I don't think that they're going to make it to the end of Series 9. Because I didn't have time to get a Q&A out last week, I'm going to name the giveaway winner right now from that. Silverwolf Gamer, you win a $20 Amazon gift card. Be sure to private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact info. And the same goes for this week. If I can't get a Q&A out before episode 3, I'll just name the giveaway winner whenever I post my episode 3 video. So taken together, these first 2 episodes, my new favorite Doctor Who premiere ever. In case you guys haven't seen it, you can click here for my episode 1 video, and there've been a bunch of Game of Thrones rumors going around, a bunch of stuff happened in the last couple days. You can click here to learn all about Resurrection in A Song of Ice and Fire. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tomorrow.